Braveheart released in 1995. Despite feeling too old, Mel Gibson accepted the role of William Wallace in Braveheart because Paramount Pictures agreed to finance the film only if he starred in it. In the film, Wallace's loyal captains, Hamish and Stephen, intriguingly swapped nationalities with their real-life actors, Brendan Gleeson and David O'Hara. The film's depiction of Robert the Bruce, a revered national hero, sparked considerable outrage among many Scots. Despite losing a hand in battle, Hamish's father is mysteriously seen with both hands in later scenes. The adrenaline-fueled first battle scene is intensified by the shocking absence of an army backing the fearless charging cavalry. In the Battle of Stirling, Wallace alternates between his warhammer and claymore in a series of cinematic cuts between the Scottish and English perspectives, showcasing his bravura as he charges into the enemy lines. The body mysteriously loses its undergarments between falling from the rafters and landing on the table. The Scottish army cunningly hid their large spears until the crucial moment at the Battle of Stirling, revealing them just as the enemy cavalry charged. Despite popular depictions, Scottish hero Wallace and his companions would not have worn kilts while riding horses, as it would have been painfully impractical, especially since kilts weren't invented until 200 years after Wallace's time. Despite what the film suggests, King Edward III actually outlived William Wallace by nearly 2 years, dying during an invasion of Scotland. The movie intriguingly but inaccurately portrays William Wallace as the lover of Isabella and potential father of the future King Edward III, even though in reality she was a toddler during Wallace's lifetime. Contrary to popular belief, the majority of the Irish actually battled against Wallace. Among Wallace's 2 brothers, one tragically perished alongside their father, while the other courageously battled alongside William. Despite the movie characters speaking modern English, it's a deliberate artistic choice meant to translate the 13th century dialogues, not a factual error. Despite the commonality of Irish whiskey in the 14th century, the production of its Scottish counterpart, Uisce Beatha, did not begin until 2 centuries later, leading to Old Campbell's sardonic quip about the waste of good whiskey when used to treat his arrow wound. Despite creative liberties taken with characters and historical details, this romantic fiction, hailed as historical fact by writer Randall Wallace and director-star Mel Gibson, is inspired by true events. Before her daring escape, Murren courageously drew blood from an Englishman's cheek, resulting in a vivid blood spatter scene as she rode off. Amidst the chaos of the final battle, 2 soldiers unexpectedly halt their combat, bursting into laughter at the absurdity surrounding them. During the somber search for wounded and dead men, a girl's unexpected laughter, covered by her hand, punctuates the scene. In the infamous Battle of Stirling mooning scene, eagle-eyed viewers can spot blood trickling from a soldier's rear end even before an arrow hits him. Young Murren's Thistlebloom, surprisingly still vibrant years later as young William revealed, was cleverly a silk flower. In the 1305 scene of Wallace's capture, an unexpected continuity error shows the same stable boy from 1296, unchanged and dressed in the identical red tunic, appearing not to have aged a day in 9 years. The film unexpectedly features the word foo, even though it wasn't used until many years later. In an easily overlooked moment during the Battle of Falkirk scene in Braveheart, Angus MacFadyen, who played Robert the Bruce, can be spotted in slow motion as a soldier being dispatched just before Wallace signals for a cavalry charge. In the heat of the first battle scene, an extra unknowingly showcases his sword antics while the cameras are rolling. At his Uncle Argyle's probing about the priest's benediction, Wallace revealed he couldn't comprehend Latin, prompting a more fitting question. "You don't understand Latin?" Historical accuracy takes a hit in the portrayal of tomatoes being hurriedly flung at Wallace during his execution, since they were introduced to Europe from the Americas over 200 years after his demise. The term infantry, mistakenly used to describe foot soldiers in the 13th century English battles, originated instead from 16th century Spain, when royal princes, known as infantes, led military units, hence infanteria. When the magistrate hilariously rolls down the hill, you can amusingly spot his modern blue jeans and protective back brace peeking through the chainmail. Despite being asked to kiss the royal ensign, a rose, during his torture, Wallace was historically off by nearly 200 years, as it wasn't until the Tudors that the rose became the royal symbol, superseding Edward the Fern's Plantagenet emblem, the fleur-de-lis. Clan tartans and organized kilt patterns are actually Victorian inventions, not creations from the time period often depicted in movies. In a poignant and artistic twist, Willian pipes, echoed instead of the traditional Highland pipes at William's father's funeral, deemed a better fit for the somber occasion. At a rock-throwing contest, Hamish taunts his opponent Wallace by saying he could crush him like a worm, just as a man with a baseball hat casually wanders into the frame. A modern camera makes a sneaky appearance in the background during the princess's dungeon visit to William. In the hanging scene, eagle-eyed viewers can spot the safety harness cord peeking out from under Wallace's shirt. In the midst of intense horse-charging scenes, a modern car can be spotted in the background after they jump. In the midst of a wedding disrupted by an English soldier, an intriguing blue-tarped object perched atop a tripod can be seen to the left. Despite growing up in the western lowlands, Wallace is portrayed amidst the majesty of the Western Highlands, a place he never visited, in the opening credits and early scenes. Despite spanning 16 years, from the Battle of Falkirk to the Battle of Bannockburn, the film's last 45 minutes curiously show no signs of aging on any of the characters. Despite common depictions, both Isabella of France and King Edward of England communicated in French, as English wouldn't become the court language for another century. Despite popular belief, William Wallace was not just a commoner, but hailed from minor nobility and was a landowner. The movie got it wrong. The real Robert the Bruce was the 7th of his name, not the 17th. Despite his education, Wallace made a fundamental Latin blunder by incorrectly saying ego numquam pronunciare mendatium instead of the proper ego numquam pronuncio mendatium. Despite understanding individual Latin words like first and night, Isabella intriguingly fails to comprehend the phrase prima nocta. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and comment below to suggest a movie for us to cover next.